Teddy Bridgewater back, well, in Miami where he grew up, first time with the Dolphins, and he was asked today whether or not he was told that he will be the backup to starter Tua Tagovailoa. Honestly, said Bridgewater, that's a conversation I'd rather keep in-house. It's a unique opportunity, and I'm happy to be part of it this season, to be the best version of Teddy that I can be, help the best way I can help, being genuine and giving my all to this game. That's a conversation I'd rather keep in-house. That's an answer within the answer, Mike. If he is unwilling to tell us he's been told he's the backup, why wouldn't he tell us he's been told he's the backup? And when you look at his contract, $6.5 million base, $3.5 million upside, surely that $3.5 million is tied to, playing, not standing. So, I know they've been very careful about what they say here, but Mike McDaniel, the new head coach, the Kyle Shanahan system, Teddy Bridgewater, the thinking is going to be perfect in that system. That's exactly how he plays, and that's exactly what he does. And, I suspect Tua will be the week one starter. What's going to get interesting is if Tua gets injured and Teddy comes in and plays well, then what?
So, and this is what the situation is when you kind of have a starter, but you brought in another guy to maybe take that starter's job because we feel he might fit the system better. How is that going to work for you? I said the same thing in Denver last year when it was Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater fighting for the starting job. I said, okay, it's easy to announce the day one starter in a competition, but then as soon as that day one starter starts to struggle, everybody's chanting for the most popular guy in town, and that's always the backup quarterback. So that's what will happen in Miami. If they ever, at some point they're going to have to let us know this is Tua's job, Teddy's here as insurance or to be a backup, or it's an open competition. It wouldn't stun me if it's a brand new coach to say something like that, but then you fall into the same situation. As soon as Tua starts struggling, and he'll struggle some, we saw him playing well toward the end of the year when Miami was making the run that they made and still had us all scratching our heads on why Brian Flores was fired, but now, we may know a few more reasons for that. But Tua is going to struggle some, and what's going to happen if he starts the season is you're going to get those quick chants for Teddy. And then how quick do you make that decision? And then you find yourself in kind of a two-quarterback limbo system.
And I think it was a genius move for the Dolphins because they were trying to create the impression that they're rallying around Tua. They were trying to flush out the dysfunction from last year when the organization wanted Deshaun Watson. And as I've heard it from people I trust down there, Brian Flores was fixated on getting Watson, and the team turned around once the trade deadline came and went, and that was no longer hovering over Tua and the rest of the organization. That's when they won 8 out of 9 games. But I think the way that they're doing it now, it's kind of like, we didn't go out and get somebody who would clearly be an upgrade over Tua. We got somebody who can perform well, and we're just going to let nature take its course. We're not going to say anything. Tua's the starter, Teddy's the backup, and we'll just see what happens and let Tua go play. And like you said, if Tua doesn't play well, Teddy Bridgewater becomes the most popular guy in town. Or if Tua gets injured and Teddy comes in and plays well, hey, Teddy, let's keep it going. Tua's not 100%. When's he going to be 100%? When Teddy isn't playing well. Until then, it's Teddy. I mean, so they're going to have to finesse this, and I think Mike McDaniel's got the right personality to do it. But this is genius because they can go with Tua, but if Tua doesn't work, it doesn't all fall apart because they have someone else that can run that offense.
I agree, and that's why I think the best way is to say Tua's the guy. Tua's our starter here, but we have Teddy because he knows the system and what we can do. And then I agree with you completely. Let the cards kind of play itself out. Tua had done a nice job when they were winning those 8 of 9 of playing himself into being the quarterback of that team because once the trade deadline passed, we knew Deshaun Watson wasn't going to be part of that, and we'd have to wait till the offseason to see what happened with Deshaun Watson. Now we have closure to that as well. So while Tua maybe could breathe a sigh of relief for a very short time, I think he realizes that he does have to continue to prove himself and even get better, or there's a guy right there that this coach who didn't pick Tua but brought in Teddy Bridgewater and is going to trust Teddy Bridgewater. So that's going to be the interesting to me is how long the rope is. How long is that leash before you yank on it and say, okay, we're going to go to Teddy?
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.